si Presidential Spokesman Secretary Harry Roque. Pakinggan natin.
Also joined later this morning by relatives of Mediakin, some of the Mediakin who perished in the Maguindanao massacre. And perhaps a last point is I have gotten many queries on Agnes Calamar despite press statement that has already been issued. I reiterate the position that the President should be taken seriously but not literally. The President has expressed his greatest displeasure at the conduct of Agnes Calamar, who came to the Philippines uninvited despite the fact that at that time we were already negotiating the requisite invitation required for special rapporteurs to be able to investigate in member nations of the United Nations. No? So what she did to come here despite the fact that negotiations were still pending was an act of bad faith. And of course, what angered the President in particular is on her visit here, she brought a resource person who the President believes stated that prohibited drugs is not harmful to human health. And that is why at all occasions, and I believe members of the media who went to Vietnam with us know that the President has been distributing a UN literature on the adverse effects of different kinds of prohibited drugs. So that is the reason for the President's anger and displeasure at Agnes Calamar. So I hope that clarifies the palace position. Now, my advice, don't come to the Philippines when uninvited. Yes, let us now take questions.
Laila Salaveria.
Sir, on rapporteur, the special rapporteur, sir, I understand her visit was not to conduct a fact-finding investigation, but to attend a drug policy conference upon the invitation of a lawyers group. So are we still objecting to that? Because that wasn't what was under negotiation with the government.
Considering there were negotiations ongoing about an official visit to the country, she should have desisted.
Even if it's not related to the fact-finding?
No, but she still made her comments on a matter that should be investigated first. So the position of the palace is, how could she have come up with conclusions when she had not yet conducted an investigation? So to us, because she already had conclusions even before an investigation, she has preconceived conclusions about the issue of alleged killings on the drug war.
Okay, thank you. Follow up? Well, follow up, other issue? Okay, Pia, to be followed by Maricel.
Hi, sir. Sir, yesterday the President said he would order the arrest of members of communist legal fronts. Can he do this?
Yes, he can. President is a former prosecutor. He knows that there can be a conspiracy to commit a crime of both rebellion and the violation of the Human Security Act, because you can now be prosecuted for acts, overt acts constituting rebellion, also for violation of the Human Security Act, where the taking up of arms is intended for the purpose of inflicting fear or terror in the minds of the general public. And I think the statement of the President delivered in Taguig on the occasion of honoring the fallen soldiers from Taguig signifies that his legal basis would be that they are in conspiracy to commit both rebellion and acts of terrorism under the Human Security Act.
But sir, he also mentioned that this would apply to legal fronts, meaning non-armed necessarily. So how do we accuse them of rebellion when they're not necessarily armed?
The President's public prosecutor has said that conspiracy is sufficient basis to accuse them of both rebellion and acts of terrorism, because in a conspiracy, the act of one is the act of all, even if they did not physically take up arms. If they are part of a conspiracy to commit acts of terror or rebellion, then they can be held liable under the theory of conspiracy.
So being part of a leftist organization is automatically meaning that they are conspiring against the government?
Not necessarily. Only what the President described as the legal front of the New People's Army, the CPP, NPA, the legal front. And I think we leave it at that, because those were the words used by the President. He will be advised by security forces on which of these legal fronts should be charged with conspiracy.
So sir, we're talking about just these three, not Akbayan, Bayan, many other leftist organizations.
Akbayan claimed that they were victim of of purging on the part of the CPP NPA. So
Those
obviously
kinds.
you're very young. You do not know the purge, but the security
Bayan,
forces
Piston, so
will
many.
advise the President, and the Department of Justice prosecutors will act accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Pia. Joseph?
Sir, what are they doing now to merit the filing or to merit the arrest?
Well, the President said that it is a conspiracy. The President has shown frustration that while the Philippine government was exerting utmost effort to come up with a peace deal with the New People's Army, while talking peace, the New People's Army had been attacking our soldiers and civilians. So, napika na po ang Presidente, nais niya talagang magkaroon ng kapayapaan, nakipag-usap siya, pero habang nakipag-usap, wala pong hupa ang pag-aatake ng NPA. Kaya nga po sabi niya, tingin ko terorista na yung mga yan at panahon na para talaga mapanagot sila.
Well, probably the NPA actions are very clear, or very facts, no? How about the legal fronts?
Well, nasagot ko na po yan. Ang legal basis ng ating Presidente ay conspiracy, no? In the commission of the crime of both rebellion and acts punishable under the Human Security Act.
And how is this established, sir?
Well, the lawyers, of course, will take care of this. In conspiracy, there must be an agreement for a common purpose and a common design, and for overt acts also to reach that common purpose.
Just so it comes from the palace, who are these legal fronts?
The President has not declared. I am sure he will be guided by security and intelligence agencies of the government.
Yes, sir. Regarding the peace talks, how different is this statement, the statement yesterday where he said he doesn't want to talk anymore, from the previous statements where he said the same thing? What makes it different now?
He said the same thing, that
Yes,
he has halted the process of negotiating a peace deal with the communists for now.
The past three statements did not include mga notice of termination and what happens to the JASIG given the statement of the President yesterday?
Well, I think the office of the OPAP will be taking its cue from the President, and I do not want to second guess what the OPAP will do.
So yung notice of termination po, what will happen? Meron ba tayong magiging ganon?
Well, it's up to the OPAP now to act accordingly after the President issued basically repeated verbal orders that he wants to put a halt to ongoing peace talks for the time being.
So without the notice of termination, what do we call this stage? Is it suspended or terminated?
Well, the President has said that he will not resume peace talks for now. I do not know if it's a mere suspension or termination, but it's an unwillingness to proceed with the peace talks.
Okay. One last question, sir. Yung proclamation, wala pa?
None.
Thank you.
Last two on NPA, Inat and Bongbong.
Sir, nabanggitin po ni Pangulo that sir here, that he wants to have the NPA leaders arrested again. Now they're out on bail. Will the DOJ or any concerned agency be moving to suspend the temporary bail granted?
Well, again, it's for the DOJ to act accordingly pursuant to the order of the President. In answer to your question, they should, because he has said that their temporary passes are effectively revoked, and if there are existing warrants of arrest against them, then they should be arrested anew.
Sir, similar to Joseph, how final is this supposed cancellation? Because again, he's been talking about this for the past few months, canceling talks. And
It's
yet,
final for now.
But, sir, because many people, again, are waiting for the notice of termination, which, again, despite his pronouncements over the past few months, never came, yeah.
I'll clarify the matter with OPAP, no? But as I said, the President is the Chief Executive. He has issued verbal orders repeatedly on the subject matter, which are identical. So it is final for now. No more peace talks with the NPA.
Okay, last two on NPA, Raymond. I'm sorry.
So just
Raymond and Rose Novenario.
So just a quick one. Sir, so aside from the declaration, the mass terrorist sa NPA, hindi ba kailangan ng parang batas para, legally declared yung as terrorist? Hindi na kailangan. So proclamation na lang ilalabas ng Pangulo?
I don't think so, because in the first place, it is within the powers of the Chief Executive to characterize threats to national security. No? Although the criminal prosecution will have to be pursuant to an existing law. Okay?
So because of the declaration of the President na no more talks with the NPA, so mababaliwala na lahat yung mga local talks Like for example, kay Davao City Mayor Inday Duterte, I understand she's doing her own talks with the NPAs there in Davao. So what will happen to the local negotiations?
I think local leaders can do as they deem fit. The order to cease with negotiations applies to agencies directly under the Office of the President, and I'm referring to the OPAC.
Sir, last point. Sir, aside from the NPA, yung sa kabila naman, yung Alex Bongkayo Brigade and other rebel groups, no plans yet to declare them also as terrorists?
So far, the NPA was the only one targeted or stated by the President. I do not know if he will also declare other groups as being terrorist groups.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Rose Novenario.
Ay, good morning, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Rose.
nabanggit niyo po na ipapataw na po yung o gagamitin na Human
Okay, mga
Security
kasama,
Act against
yan
the
po yung
CPP.
press briefing sa mga oras na ito. Diyan ho sa Malacanang kasama si Presidential Spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque, Secretary Harry Roque. At maraming nag-aantay kung maitatanong, pero abangan niyo ho yan mamaya dahil kasama ho natin ngayon live mula sa Palasyo ng Malacanang si Radjuman Deo de Guzman. Deo?
Yes, Radjuman Lourdes, yan nga yung bahagi lamang ng press briefing dito sa Palasyo ng Malacanang sa pangunguna ni Presidential Spokesman Secretary Harry Roque, kung saan ay sinasabi nito. Ang ilan lang sa issue ay yung sinabi nito na mamaya hapon ay makakausap ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang ilang pamilya ng mga miyembro ng pamilya ng mga biktima ng Maguindanao Massacre, at sinabi din ni Pangulong Duterte na maaaring ipa-aresto, o inuulit niya kasi kahapon sinabi ng Pangulo na maaaring ipa-aresto, gusto niya ipa-aresto itong mga legal front ng Communist Party ng NPA, at sabi ni Secretary Roque na sinabi ng Pangulo na sapat yung conspiracy para ma-aresto ang mga legal fronts ng rebelling grupo at ipa-aresto ang mga member nito, kaya kayang gawin ito ni Pangulong Duterte at maaaring isa pa ang kasong conspiracy to commit rebellion and terrorism at pati na rin ang paglabag sa Human Security Act. At paliwanag ito si Roque, talagang napikon na si Pangulong Duterte sa NPA dahil sa kabila ng kagustuhan ng pamahalaan na makipag-usap ng kapayapaan ay patuloy naman ang pag-atake nito at hindi din naman nagpapakita ang NPA ng sinseridad, ng CPP, NPA, NDF ng sinseridad sa usapang pangkapayapaan. Hindi pa rin naman nagdedeklara sa Pangulong Duterte kung ano yung legal fronts na binabanggit niya ng NPA, at ito anya ay dapat pang pag-usapan. Hindi pa anya masagot ni Roque, hindi pa masagot naman ni Roque yung sitwasyon sa pagitan ng gobyerno at ng CPP, NPA, NDF, at ngayon ay wala pa talaga ng mangyayaring negosasyon. Tandaan na kahapon ay kinansila na ng Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process ang lahat ng mga susunod pang pag-uusap sa pagitan ng gobyerno ng CPP, NPA, NDF bilang pagsunod na rin sa kautusan ni Pangulong Duterte. Sinabi ni Roque na bahala na ang Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process o OPAC o itong si Secretary Jeff Dureza kung ano ang magiging takbo o ang susunod na hakbang ng pamahalaan sa pakikipag-usap sa rebelling grupo. Hindi din naman na kailangan ng batas para i-declare ang terrorist group ang NPA dahil ito naman ay nasa ilalim na rin ng kapangyarihan ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Matatandaan na kanina naman ay sumakay itong si Secretary Roque sa MRT pati na rin sa LRT. At si Secretary Roque ay sumakay mula sa North Avenue sa MRT, bumaba ito ng Taft Avenue at lumipat ng LRT sa Taft Avenue at bumaba naman ng Central Station ng LRT. Inabot ng mahigit 1 oras at kalahati itong si Secretary Roque at natagalan, at kanina nakasalubong ko siya, medyo pawis na pawis, kasama na rin ang mga tidbit ng media sa pagsakay sa tren.
Kahit na Deo, Radjuman Deo, diretsuhin na natin. Sabi ng iba, VIP na pagsakay, inabot pa rin ng 1 hour.
Inabot pa rin ng 1 hour ng 1 oras kasi marami din yung marami din yung mga sumakay na sumasakay ng tren ng ganong oras. Pero hindi naman din siya masyadong pumila dahil doon sa ilalim sa North Avenue, doon sa baba, usually kapag rush hour, talagang napakahaba ng pila doon. Mapaside ng kabilang side o doon sa side ng Trinoma. 2 pila kasi yan, yung paakyat. Si Secretary Roque ay doon nang galing sa kabilang side, sa may Trinoma, kaya medyo hindi rin siya pumila ng mahaba. Pero wala nang pila talaga ng ganong oras. At bukod pa doon, kasama pa ang media. So sinasabi kasi ng ilan sa mga ating tagapakinig at yung mga nakakausap din, dapat daw, ang ginawa nitong si Secretary Roque ay hindi in-announce sa media yung kanyang pagsakay at nagpunta na lang doon,
as normal.
At siyang mag-isa, para normal.
Tama.
Oo, para hindi masyadong natututukan ng media at para bang nagkakaroon ng VIP treatment
exactly.
yung management. In fact, sinabi nga kanina doon sa bago sumakay ito si Secretary Roque, ay sinabi pa nung tauhan ng MRT sa kanya na, sir, doon po kayo sa susunod na bago na tren na darating sumakay dahil mas maganda yung tren na yun. Pero pang preparation na gano'n. Diba? So, pero in fairness naman, sumakay din si Secretary Roque doon sa unang tren. Hindi na hinintay yung sumunod na tren. Pero ang kwento, nakaupo si Secretary Roque nung nakarating na sila sa may bandang Guadalupe ay meron ng upuan at nakaupo na si Secretary Roque hanggang yan dire-diretso dyan sa may Taft Avenue ng MRT.
Okay, salamat.
Yes.
Salamat, Radyo Mandeo.
Kasama mo sa Palasyo ng Malacanang, Radyo Mandeo de Guzman ang DZXL 558 at RMN.
Uy, abangan nyo ho, marami pa ho mga sasagutin na issue at mga katanungan si Secretary Harry Roque. At abangan nyo ho yan sa RMN News Nationwide, The Sound of the Nation. Mga kasama, ako si Radyoman Lourdes Escaros at eto na, si Radyoman DJ Rom C.
At maraming salamat sa inyong pagtutok ngayong araw na ito ng Huwebes.